Welcome, everybody, to another new episode of the WP Roundtable Podcast. This is 2 days in a row live on YouTube. I am your host, Russell Aaron, from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a WordPress consultant, support specialist. I do things with WordCamp Las Vegas. My guest today can verify that. You can follow me on Twitter at NQRuss, or Russell Envy is my website. Always reminding you to please make a backup before you ever take somebody's WordPress advice. My name's Russell Aaron. I approve this message. Let's get right into it. Nile Flores, how are you doing? I haven't seen you since WordCamp 2019.
Oh, well, WordCamp. I was at WordCamp US, and then I was at WordCamp Miami, and then all of a sudden I come back from staying there for a few extra days, and all of a sudden we're on stay at shelter, like just 3 days after I get home.
Oh man. So I think you and a couple other people that I know, John Brown, John Hawkins being another one, you can play the game called What WordCamps Haven't You Been To? You know, I can't play that game yet because I haven't been to a lot of WordCamps, but you are in that rare paternity, whatever it is of going to so many WordCamps.
We're about 55 plus now. So
what do you still get out of going to WordCamps? I think I know the answer, but I want to ask you, and then I'll tell you what my answer is.
Actually, my answer would be kind of a short two-parter. Actually connecting with people, because I'm a big extrovert. I love connecting with people. And two, as even though I know a lot, people are like, what do you not know? I still do learn a lot. I still learn a lot of things. Even if it may not be WordPress, it's life skills.
So learning was definitely going to be one of those things. And the other thing I was going to say is you get to connect with people. You're always at a help desk, or you're always at the support thing. You're always trying to encourage people, like I am when we go to WordCamps, to, keep using WordPress and keep seeing things. So that's what I thought your answer would be.
Yeah, I adopted a phrase a long time ago that Matt Mullenweg put out, the WordPress evangelist. So I'm pimping it out to converting people from Drupal and Joomla over to WordPress, because that is also my thing too.
Is that thing you learned, was that evangelist deeply?
Evangelist deeply. Yeah. It's funny because you say that deeply stuff, but a few years back when he was telling us to learn JavaScript deeply, I was like, oh, That's so cute. I went to school for that.
Deeply. Yeah, I'm still not deeply into it. Now, what are you drinking right now? I have a Coca-Cola in a give glass. Not that this is product placement of any kind. It just so happens that I'm wearing green and black today, and this is green and black, and so I got give on there. And I'm going to tell you a story about give in a minute, but what are you drinking?
Well, what's in my cup? It's a pink lemonade in a Hard Rock Cafe, St. Louis. I actually collect them from all over the places that I go to. So I have stuff from Seattle and Minneapolis, Miami, Orlando. Every time I go to a WordCamp, I'm trying to see if there's a Hard Rock Cafe nearby.
That's a real thing for you.
Yes.
So when you come to WordCamp Vegas, did you stay at the Hard Rock when you came here?
No, I stayed 2 blocks away, but I walked that 2 blocks and I went to, I was on Tropicana. So I walked the 2 blocks over from where I was staying, and went to the Hard Rock Cafe, and then turned around, went into Planet Hollywood, and then went to the Bellagio. So
yeah, all right, you were pretty close there. All right.
Oh yeah, I had to have some of the Vegas experience. The second time around, I had more. I was lucky because you guys keep having those around my birthday, so I try to enjoy Vegas on my birthday.
It's around my birthday too. It's a little before my birthday, and So I had NASCAR the weekend before. Okay, so I had NASCAR, WordCamp Vegas, then I had my son's birthday, and then I had my birthday, and then on the 10th my wife and I went and did something, and then on the 18th of October we went and saw Las Rages with like Bring Me the Horizon and the Used. The weekend after that we went go-karting. So like those 2 months, September, October, you can't find me, and B, like I'm usually outdoors doing something. Those 2 months are just my favorite. So
yeah, September is just my birthday month, where it's just when are we celebrating? Anytime, all day, any day.
Yeah, right. Nile, let's jump to content marketing. First of all, thank you for having a conversation with me. What I want to do today is focus on what it is you do and why content, even the basic content, is so important even today. About pages and contact pages, those seem second nature to a lot of us. You've had a WordPress site before. Those are probably the first pages you build. But even then, I still see people that, maybe not get it wrong, but it's not helping their business in a way. So I'm really interested to see, what you can teach me about content and simply starting from that aspect.
Okay. So what I do is, in general, design and development. Plus, I've been a professional blogger for over 18 years. So content, I know content. I also write for GoDaddy, and I've blogged. I've blogged at other places other than GoDaddy. So, I mean, I love to write, and content is my thing. And also I know how to interact with people. It wouldn't be the first time if somebody come up to me and says, I have no idea how you get people to interact, but I've seen some of the stats when I run them through my social programs, and like it's amazing how much you've reached these people and everything.
Right.
And it's not about the reach, it's about the fact of the matter. I want to help people. And overall, when you're doing your website, is adding value, and just keep adding value. If the three things I always tell people, especially at WordCamps too, when I'm doing topics on creating content, is making sure that your website's cleared about who you are, what you're offering, and why you matter. Because those are the three things people need to get from your site, especially on your front page. If they don't know who you are, they don't know
what
any
you
of
do
it.
And how to get a hold of you. Yeah.
Even if you have an e-commerce shop, seriously, put some products on your front page so they get an idea of what maybe you kind of do, and a little bit about it. Not just it's that little phrase, here it is what it is. No, don't. A lot of people oh, well, I just made it. It is what it is, or that Field of Dreams stuff.
Yeah. No, you need to detail oriented and say why you do this and why you are different than the other 10 people that do this, especially in the world of development, not just WordPress development, but even if you're just any kind of developer, somebody else is also writing in React, also writing in JavaScript deeply. So, get to the point and sell them on why you are here.
Yeah. And the concepts, maybe, for example, as a developer, maybe there is a way that you approach things that might be easier for other people. And it's really important to make sure that they know, hey, I know how to teach you an easier way how to learn these things, and it'll streamline your process or something like that. So, that's the way I would approach that kind of thing, what can I make a difference on making people's lives easier,
Even then, including a picture or including a video, and just what I found is on pages that are, I call those support casts. So you have your lead characters, the main people of your movie, your main actors. Those are your products, or those are your blog posts, whatever it is that drives people to your site. Those are your main actors. But then you have the supporting cast, the people the old guy that walks in the back, he's important for that 2 minutes of that scene. He's the supporting cast, and that's what your contact page is.
Yeah.
And even then, if somebody lands there, you have a chance to grab them and say, hey, you're going to write me, but do you know why you're writing me? Let me give you this thing about, or, let me give you some topics on how to streamline this process of contacting us, because we get, 200, 300,000 people to write us a day. So, let me make it easier for you. Those are supporting pages and they're important.
Yeah, well, they're also very necessary pages, especially for SEO. I mean, you should have an about page, and you do need to have a contact page. You need to tell them literally, like, that's the more detailed way of telling them who you are and all the basic necessities. But you also have to open the door for them to contact you.
Yeah,
and there's always a reason for, like, for example, I mean, we'll talk about the about page and everything and what you should have, but like, I'd like to talk contact pages is always simpler and everything. You still should have a few things on there, maybe a few social handles. You should have a form. Just don't plop your email address. We're in this age that people are a little shysters, and so they'll just like,
here's my email.
These spots out there. Yeah, like here you go. Let's sign you up for all the things you don't want to be in, and especially the things like if you're, that's not what I wanted to see today, and probably that's not the language I'd like to talk in,
right?
And probably that's not the image I wanted to see either,
Wow.
So, and you find yourself with 800 spams or something a day.
Do things like that bother you? Like, if there was one thing that you could make a joke about all day, would that be one of them? Is putting your email address instead of a contact form?
Yeah, it's actually one of my peeves. I get after people about that.
I call them bugaboos.
Yeah. So I just don't think it's wise. I mean, there's so many other ways that people can contact you, whether your Facebook page, your profile, all these other things that don't expose those things, because your inbox is probably a little more intimate for a lot of people. Some people, it's maybe Facebook or Twitter these days, or whatever social handle they prefer. Well, it's even TikTok, weird enough. But it's always traditionally been email for a very long time that people will check first in the day, or it's one of the top 5 things that they check. And also on your contact page, have a checkbox there, aside from your data privacy statement, that hey, if you're interested, subscribe to my email and list and get blah, 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 whatever.
Do you want more info? Use your email here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, there are so many tools out there doesn't matter whether you're on MailChimp, Constant Contact, whatever.
Cordial,
there's so many implementations for Ninja Forms,
Gravity Forms,
and everything.
Jetpack Forms.
Yeah, I'm a Gravity Form girl, so
I'm a Gravity Forms guy. So let's digital high five right there. So Nile, I have a question for you. This is you've been inside this room. This is in the Innovation Center where WordCamp was. I think you actually spoke in this room. But this is my new little segment. It's called Question Time. So I've been advising people to get away from the contact page in the traditional sense of having a form. What I've been doing is I've been telling people, use the Facebook plugin. There's a messenger I'll bring up here in a minute, but there's a Facebook messenger that lives right in the bottom right-hand corner or left-hand corner, wherever you want it. And literally, as long as your customer is logged into Facebook and you're logged into Facebook, you don't even have to be logged in, but as long as they're logged in, they can email, or they can just type in their question and it goes right to your inbox, or it goes to your business inbox, wherever you want. And it's real-time help versus that email. So what are your thoughts about keeping the contact form versus having this alternative method of potentially real-time help on every single page?
So what is that meme out there? Why not both?
Right.
So I actually like the idea of both, or even having even if you have your own in-house or third party live chat service, that's completely fine and actually very helpful if you are going to provide live support. I mean, if that's not a platform that you really are comfortable using, like I don't use it. And the reason why I don't use it is because I run a lot of very large groups. Okay. And also I get messaged by shysters a lot. So I have to filter a lot of things. And these shysters are also the inappropriate crowd. Like, so I'm not going to go any more into that kind of thing, but like, that's why I kind of shut that off, and I only make it available to friends and family. And if somebody from a group reaches out for me, that's fine. If they reach out to my business page from Facebook, I'll answer from there, but it's not a live service. So it's what you're comfortable with. And yeah, I've used this on this particular plugin.
It's
on the screen.
This is really easy to implement for even beginners. It has a really easy 1, 2, 3 kind of click thing. You copy and paste, and it even shows you where to go and do that. This is something that I've been experimenting with, and like you said, I also have shysters and people that come by and like want to mess around, but it's also kind of cool because then I look at it and I'm like, Home Dog was pimping out my website for one reason or another. Like I'm more interested in like knowing how he found me or how this person got me, and it it's never a woman's profile that's writing me, so I get it. It's always some fake internet bot or something, but I'm still interested in knowing. Did it just scan? Is it looking for WordPress sites? Is it looking for something specific? How did it find me? But hey, now I know where you stand on that plugin.
Yeah. And also, like, for example, like for contact pages and everything else, I like to measure whatever's going on my website. So it's a lot for me. It's a lot easier to put a Google goal together to measure if they're actually filling out my form, or if there's a problem with the form, or where they're actually stopping, if they're abandoning, like example, cart abandonment or form abandonment and everything else. Like,
do you have that set up on your personal site? So somebody comes to your service and they sign up for a free account. Are you tracking that as a process, or do you not start until they add something to the shopping cart?
So I actually track everything on my website. So
I love it. All right, let's talk about that.
And well, on my personal website, I don't have any. Like on blogger.net, I have forms and everything. So of course I track all my forms in Gravity. I also track on one of the groups, the WooCommerce stores that I do. It's actually hooked with Printful. I actually sell Smudge. I'm not gonna say they got Smudge, the memes. It's the white cat, the lady at the white cat. And so I do various products with Printful that's hooked in with WooCommerce. And so I measure, like, if I have cart abandonment or what products people are really looking for, because I really want to provide them different designs, because that's also a guilty pleasure of mine, is the graphic design, being creative part. So I can put together these really wacky stuff.
Yeah, sure. One of the things that I actually do at the plaza where WordCamp was this year is we track stuff like that. So whenever somebody fills out one of our Gravity forms, like to join our newsletter for like our comedy show or something, that goes, Gravity Forms records that entry, and we're like, hey, cool. But then I use the Ajax filter on Gravity Forms, and that puts out some JavaScript. And then I use Tag Manager to collect that and send it to analytics. And then we just let analytics track the carts and, even cancellations. And so our analytics is, I would say it's 95, 97% of the time. You're always going to have a flux, and maybe for some reason the script doesn't load or something, so you don't capture as all the leads. But for the most part, we're we're just doing there. So I'm very interested to see how other people do it, because as you know, there's a multitude of ways to do things, especially in WordPress.
It's interesting enough because I did an experiment and everything when I was measuring my using Google Analytics to find out how people are filling out my forms. And at one point I was offering, I had like that Google Gravity or the coupon field for the Gravity forms. And I was offering us, as an experiment, like a 20% off and everything kind of deal, and had a coupon code. And it's funny because 9 times when it came, the percentage in a way equivalent came to like 9 times out of 10, basically, that people didn't use the coupon code. They just paid full price. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to use coupon codes because people were cool with the price,
It's still cool to have them out there. The diehard people that really want your service and they want to try it, they'll use it. But, passing by, people will just do it. Scott Bollinger said that yesterday, or not yesterday, I'm sorry. He said that the other day on Twitter. He said he has one fee that's like, higher than his target price where he wants people to come in. And even then some people pay the higher price. So it's just a thing you do,
Yeah.
So you are a Gravity Forms person. I'm a Gravity Forms person. We're talking about content that you need, simple content to get going. So your about page is pretty obvious in the sense of who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, and why you're the best, or not the best, but why people want to go with you. And especially more than ever now is time to show your homegrown roots and to show that you really are that family business. You just haven't been around for 50 years. But I think people like that personal touch of, knowing that you are dealing with one person, not like this massive company that just looks at you as a number, And so if you can really sell that, your contact page, you should be leading people to that. But with Gravity Forms, my contact page does a couple of things. If you choose the right option, it turns my Gravity form of just a simple contact of name, email, subject, and or text area, to put like a long whatever. If you choose the right subject of why you're talking to me, it actually turns into a pay form to where, it says, hey, I want support. Now my pay forms fill out and it goes right to Stripe or goes right to PayPal and all that data comes in. So, I look at the contact page as not only a place for people to reach out, but it's also with Gravity Forms and their amazing plugin, it can lead to a sale that quickly too. It no longer is just a negative. I think the contact form people think negatively about. If someone's contacting you for a reason, maybe, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt. They're just reaching out, but it's usually to be like, hey, I lost your support, or no one's reaching out to me anymore. Like I hear that a lot at WordCamp.
I get a lot of people who want to just link to me. They're like, oh, well, you have a 16-year-old site, so I need a backlink from you. I'm like, let me go look. No.
Right? A backlink. Ooh.
Yeah. Like, just to pop in the link, like not even like no contacts or anything. Just, I just want a link on there.
I started doing that for my meetup. When I was running the WordPress meetup group here in Vegas. Now I'm co-organizer, but at one time I was lead and I was the only organizer. But it's something that I enjoyed to do. But I was offering backlinks from our website. WPVegas.com has been around for a while. And I want to help people get WordPress jobs. And if you had a backlink from the meetup group and it says what you do in our group and how you've helped people, that is almost a resume. And, you do it for 2 hours a month. It's like community service, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Sure. Like, so I wish more meetups would do that. I wish they would offer their members a way to sign up and to put a profile and the link, or, like let them upload their own pictures. Could you imagine going to a meetup and everyone's like, hey, Nile, can I help you real quick? Yeah, okay. Here, take a picture with me. I got to show people that I'm helping. Hold on.
Yeah.
But
we used to have for St. Louis, we used to have BB Press, or not BB Press, but Buddy Press set up for the St. Louis meetup group on
Wow.
our own separate website other than meetup.com.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still there, but I don't think really anybody uses it as much as they do like our Slack related channel. So it's like, okay, whatever.
Oh, I miss Slack so much. If I wasn't part of WordPress and the meetup group here, I wouldn't be on Slack at all. We use Microsoft Teams and stuff at the Plaza, so we don't get to use Slack. Oh, I can't wait to use Slack again. So all right, content. So you're supporting cast characters, like I was saying earlier, the low-hanging fruit, those pages that everything has had. What's another page besides about and contact that you should set up?
Well, I do want to touch up on about, but I will answer the question because there are a few things on the about page, even though you said a few things that are very particular that for me, what I'm looking for, especially if I'm doing website reviews and everything.
Yeah.
But like, other than that, I honestly think everybody should have a news or blog page on their website these days, because you should be pushing out regular content about whether your services or products or related niche news, so that people can see and that you know what's going on and that you understand your niche, and that also builds trust and authority.
Yeah, sure.
And sharing that knowledge and everything. And not just that, oh, well, we're going to just talk about my product today. Here you go. Buy it today. Here's a link to the store, blah, blah, blah. No, we need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, for sure. And especially the more niche a product is, the more you're looking for industry tips. And it's just like going to a local shop and having someone that's been there for 40 years and, you want good content and you want to publish that. And that just, I always say blog posts are the new homepage, because nobody's really coming to your homepage necessarily anymore with as specific as search is getting. You want to rank higher. So, your homepage only does so much SEO wise, arguably, but you could have a whole page.
How you organize it, the page and everything, of course.
But an entire dedicated page to that specific search term is just going to dominate either way. And so that is your new homepage. That is the new chance for, in one shot, you get to be as specific as you want about a topic. And you also have to say, here's who I am, here's what I do. So I always... blog posts are your new homepage, because that's what gets shared. When someone goes to Facebook or Twitter, they're not sharing a homepage, they're sharing a blog thing.
So technically on the homepage, the purpose of the homepage is telling people what you want them to do on your website. What seems very interesting, where should they go, whether it's that store or blog posts. Like, even if you have 3 or 4 blog posts on there or a couple products, you're directing them in that direction, because one of the factors in like Google Analytics is bounce factor. So basically bounce factor means like they went to their site and said, well, okay, don't see anything, I'm out. But in order to improve it, you need to have them come into your website. And the interesting thing about page views is you don't get, if people come to your website, that's still 0 page views. They have to actually go into your website to actually go 1 page view, and then it counts from there. And that's very, very important.
Even page views, just like PHP, starts at 0.
Yeah. So, and everybody's like, well, that doesn't seem very fair. I mean, yes, there are other tools, like, for example, heat maps. And also they still, even if they hit your website, Google will tell you, and on average, how long people actually spend on the site, even if they're just on the page. They just don't count that page view, which actually it's not good. So it means you're not being a good shepherd for your website. Like, hey, this might be a good place. Like, and so that's why sometimes when I look at some sites and everything, if they have social media channels and everything, but they don't have much of a blog page or anything else, and I said, please just create a page for your social handles. Like, seriously, because lead them there. and so that if they want to connect, you get that page view, and you can collect the information, what they're doing on that page.
So why I think that's very important also is you do this for a living, whether it's make pizzas or you're a pest control or you do support or sure. So mine's a vegan pizza, but it's all bell peppers and mushrooms, but it all checks out. So I'm a support person, so my posts, all of them should be support related, and it's not a wrong blog post if it's just how you feel and it's just your theories, your thoughts, and that's all as hard as your blog post ever has to be, and what I always say is, I was telling this to Matt yesterday, our episode, he does weddings, he helps people with wedding songs, but he was also a DJ for, I'm going to say 100 years, but it's like 5 years, but he was a DJ, but his article should be how to become a wedding DJ. And then those DJs will see this curated list, and it's just another way to drive revenue in. If not only because you are a DJ, you can solve this thing with curating lists, but you can also give advice on said being a DJ. That's just two ways of coming in. So you have no excuse to have a blog or to not have a blog because you know this like clockwork.
Yeah. And there's always people for that kind of stuff. So I mean, come on, why not?
And soapbox. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the about page. You have some thoughts, some theories on the about page. What did I miss that you want to share?
So my biggest thing is, depending on what you're doing and everything, I'll just give a couple examples and everything, because it's always based on whether it's a company or a person who is regular blogging or a person who offers services or they're a public speaker and everything else. So like for companies and everything, of course, you're not going to be really, it depends on the flavor, how your brand is and everything else, but always be consistent with the brand. So if you're a snarky brand and everything, fine, be snarky, but otherwise be professional and concise. You don't need to
not both.
You don't need to have a novel on that. You could talk about your team, but you probably might not want to put the whole team on the fucking about page. Sorry, F-bomb.
This is a G show, man. This is a
Sorry
G
about
show.
that.
Apologies. I'm just gonna remind people to make a backup real quick. All right, go ahead.
I'm embarrassed. I guess it's probably because that's a big peeve of mine when people put too much on that. And the thing is that it detracts from the actual focus on the website. Like, where do you want them? It's okay to tell everybody's proud about themselves or their company and everything, but you need to be short and get them to, yes, let them know who you are, but you need to tell them where they need to basically go. And it's like public speakers, maybe have 1 or 2 videos and a link to a video page of past presentations or something like that. But don't have all the videos and all the pictures and all the things. So that's the biggest thing. I'm peeved that a lot of people actually end up doing to their about page. They don't understand. And I'm like, man, we need to break this down. And maybe this content belongs on this page instead, but we can link it from here. Because people will read what they want to read. And so they'll get to the meat potatoes that they feel are the meat and potatoes. Maybe you might not think they are.
Yeah.
The thing is that's the thing about putting websites together. We have to try to get in the visitor's brain of where they're going to go. And we're hoping they go in the places that we want them to go.
Chris Lemma said it best. I heard him say this in Reno. It was 2013, WordCamp Reno. And he said, when you build a website, you're not building a website for your client. You're building a website for your client's client, So I always have taken that since I heard him say that. And I've treated my website as if it were an employee. So when somebody visits your website and they're on your about page, imagine an employee standing there and somebody comes in. You don't want them to sit there and tell them their entire history of college and where they went to school. And, you want it to be short, sweet. Here's what you need to know about me, and here's how long I've been doing it. If you want more details, click here, and then you can have a bio, a timeline, an in-depth scroll, whatever you want. But, your about page, I always say 3 paragraphs: who I am, how I learned what I learned, and how I'm applying it to my everyday life.
Yeah, and that's nice and simple, and that should work and everything. And of course, have a couple pictures, but don't have 3,000 pictures. They're like, here's my whole gallery here. Don't do that. People do it though.
I have a gallery on my about page. I think I have like 10. So I'm within your threshold, I think. And I think my about page is gonna get I'm redoing my whole website. Like since all of this, I've had some time to.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun. I didn't really have the time to. I don't want to say don't want to have the time. That makes me sound like I'm copping out. But like what I work all day is ACF and blocks, and so we don't use a lot of Gutenberg. And my own personal site is all custom post types, and I'm not using any of the API, so it's all still the original content editor. I'm not Gutenberging it up as
I just text editor myself.
So, now I'm actually redoing my entire site using Gutenberg and using GutenbergHub.com. Man, that thing is rad. So I've been playing around with it, trying to redo things, and, I've been enjoying it. I feel like I'm a beginner again. I go through these processes now. Let me tell you this. I go through this process every now and then. The last time I did it was when I took over the meetup group in 2015. I work at such a high level of WordPress and like what we're doing to keep the hotel going, especially when I was at a mortgage company. It was the same thing. My website was like a personal mortgage loan officer. So that was, I was keeping that going constantly. When I took over the meetup group, I was like, how do I get back into what I think my attendees are and where they are in their WordPress career? And that's still... they're confused by installing plugins, or themes are still wishy-washy to them. CSS is a big scary word. So I feel like with Gutenberg, I'm going back through that process of learning how to be a beginner again and set everything up. And, it's fun. It kind of keeps my WordPress, passion going in a way. Not that I get burnt out, but building all day and doing the same WordPress things, after a while, like it feels like you're just clocking in, and I don't like feeling that with WordPress. The hardest thing for me, I want to do is log into WordPress, but still have fun and not get locked in that.
That's why I break my days up and everything, like between client call, and then also whether it's blogging for myself or somebody else, or just learning something else, or designing, developing, and everything else. I always mix my days up. And if I really don't want to do something, then I'll go do a hobby and then come back later or read or whatever else. I like to read fan fiction online. So if I don't feel like getting offline, then there's always something to do.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. Interesting. Gutenberg, all the things. So a news page, a blog page, something like that, your contact page, your about page, keeping it short and simple, what you did, how you learned it, and how it applies. Let's do one more. What's another page outside of news, contact, and about that you should have? I'm going to argue mine, which would be a features page. A features page for a business.
That is definitely one, and I'm glad that you actually covered that. Actually said that, because that was actually the next step. Is that's about what you're offering, okay? And so, like,
how you offer it,
my hire me page, or a portfolio page, or a combination of either. It depends on how you want to funnel the process of of bringing in the client. If your feature page, your services page, basically, or whatever it may be, or your store, it doesn't matter, is that if that is dynamic in itself, the point is to make sure that you don't leave it dead in the water with just the content and none of it's, you say, well, it said hire me page or portfolio, but I see this stuff. What do I do from here? So like you need to funnel them into basically back to the forum, getting to contact you like, hey, I saw all this cool stuff. Hey, I'm game. Let's work together or something like that.
Sure.
Here's my money. Take my money. Something like that. So
I always call that page the rebuttal page. So your homepage, like you said earlier, it says, here's what we do. You know, we're a support shop and we're gonna make backups, we're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. But then your features page is really saying, here's how that backup gets done, and here's how frequently it gets done. Oh, we also offer speed analysis. Here's the tool we use, you know, so you get to be more specific. But it also just shows that it's customizable to what you need, because nobody ever just goes to Ford and buys the car right off the lot. They're going to want different interior, different rims. And so they want to know that this product, I can customize it over time, and it's going to allow me to make this decision, you know, to stay with for at least 3 years and not, you know, 6 months, because I signed up for this thing and it says you stream me to YouTube or you do this, but you actually, in fact, don't do it the way I need you to do it. You know?
Yeah, and expanding on this one, because I've seen some good examples and bad examples, especially with in designers and developers and agencies, especially in the WordPress crowd. I've seen all sorts of websites. It's not, like I'm interested in seeing everything, because I love to see what's out there. If something's looks like it's good, or if it's a really bad idea, I'm like, nah, that's a really bad idea. One of the worst ideas I've ever seen any agency and everything that I see, there's just too much on the front page that could be put on that service page, or you know, organized in that service section, because obviously it's not going to be one page. They will just lop all this content about all their methodologies or their whatever ethics and everything else, like ethics, about section, and methodologies, service sections and everything. Like there is a point where you separate what this goes to there, because once again, like we said before, we're trying to shepherd people in the right ways without making them just stay on the front page. Holy crap, I have a high bounce rate, so everybody's been staying on my front page. For some reason, Google's telling me 56 seconds or 2 minutes on the front page. If they're on your front page for 2 minutes, what's going on? Do you have a video that's been running 2 minutes? That's too long. 30 seconds, please, on that video. Like, and then send them somewhere else on your.
Hang on 1 second. I got to write that down. 30. Okay. 30 seconds on the video. Got it.
Yeah, like no more than that. Like some people like are minute and everything. Okay, well, I can forgive them that and everything, but it better be a good damn 1 minute video. So I think I could say that word at least.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's a Hoover Dam, so you know that's not too far from me, and I go to that dam all the time.
I like that place. So I got to see that this last time. But,
good man, yeah. So you know, I had a hard time with this when I first got started with websites, because I am that person that likes to showcase every feature, and I really had to have somebody sit down and tell me, you know, the way that this works, every page, you know, it really should be, even your blog post, what is the problem and how do you solve it? Mm-hmm. Right. And yes, at times there might be a particular setting that you check to make a situation solved, but it doesn't mean that you have to mention that setting in every post. It's only mention it when it's relevant. And why I'm saying this is, when I first started going to meetups, I would teach people about plugins, and I wouldn't have a process of saying, okay, I use this plugin called If Menu to hide and show things in my menu based on this. I was going through and saying, and it's got this, and it's got this, and it's got this. And, you know, it wasn't it was useful, but I wasn't showing people how I use it or how they should use it. I was just spitballing every feature like it was a feature on a B-side or something. So, your services page, your about page, your blog post, anything that you're doing, your content really should be what is the problem and how do you solve it, or what was your problem and how did you solve it with this new thing that you want people to buy, because that's how a product works. I have a plugin. It's called Gravity Styles. It styles your forms really simple. So what was my problem is I hated styling Gravity forms every time I loaded something. I wanted a quick and easy way to make it just poof and appear. So I wrote a plugin, and that's what my blog post did. So either what was your problem, how did you solve it, or what is the problem and how do you solve it? Those are two different questions when you're selling versus teaching.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Like whenever I was actually the original person that wrote the first full tutorial for converting Drupal to WordPress. And that was
did you have to scribe that in rock or did you use like calligraphy or
it feels like that now.
It's all hieroglyphics, like the documentation on how to do that is just pointing birds and.
Well, I solved a solution for one because everybody there were a lot of incomplete marketing type tutorials. Like, okay, we gave you a little bit. You got to this point in the tutorial, and then you found out you can't even finish converting it yourself. So I actually had to go painstaking. My first try at this was converting a 17,000 post page, all sorts of different post type website from Drupal to WordPress.
Wow.
And so I basically went into all the things that you could possibly expect.
Yeah,
and
sure.
How to get around these things, because especially like older ones, like from 2000, 2002 and everything else, you're going to run into people who didn't understand pretty permalinks, which, are regular permalinks. Pretty permalinks were the old way.
Do you still call them pretty permalinks?
No, not anymore. But when I'm talking about old terms and everything, because that's what they were called back in the day. This was when WordPress didn't even get that option of the custom post name and everything. Literally, you had to put the little code in the custom.
Everything was in the URL. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And so like Drupal handled them differently. And then also when you're at the end of the tutorial, you had this thing like if they were actually using the old way of doing the permalink, you actually needed to actually use the database with the URLs, their node URLs, to actually make another comparison table where the URLs are going to be redirected with, the new WordPress ones. Yeah, it was very. Once you had the conversion, it was like now you have to go the SEO process, because those node URLs would totally 404. So
with totally 404.
Yeah.
that's gonna be the caption. Dude, your URL's 404. Now I love it. I quickly remind people to always make a backup whenever you're taking WordPress advice. Whenever somebody tells you to do something, make a backup, and also store that backup somewhere not on your server. If your server goes down, you can't access your backup. And if the other server where your backup goes down, you still can't store it. So store it a few places. Think of it like money in the desert. You want to bury it in pools. Make a backup.
Save it to your computer and save it to for free, Google Drive. A lot of the free ones will connect to that automatically. I mean, you get so much space with Google itself right out of the box, and then it's like $1.99 for like 100 gigs with I think their cloud one, or the OneDrive or whatever it's called, and I use that. So
that's so interesting. I store everything to a external hard drive. My backup comes from WP Engine, and I just click the little button and I download the whole thing from how they do it, and then I just store it. I do that once a week. I actually have my backups. WP Engine are handling that, so I trust how they're doing it. But I actually take once a week. I usually do it Thursday or Friday whenever I'm up late, and I download it, store it on my external, and at least I have a copy of it from, last Thursday. And I keep them in folders. So like it will say April, and then it will say like the week. And then once I see 3 months, I always delete the last month. So I keep 2 months of 1 week each, so usually four copies, 8 total. Yeah. But I back them up on an external. I use WP Engine to do that. And then I also have managed WP.
I'm so old school with backups.
I try to, I still have that external hard drive, and you still got to do that. But managed WP just makes it so easy to just not only make a backup, but if you can go create a site right now, go buy Nile Flores is awesome.com, set up, and then with managed WP, you just got to connect their service to that, and then you can say, take this website and clone it to that URL, and it will just zip it and do it. Oh, how fantastic of a tool that is. I can't recommend that enough. I'm spoiled in that way of multiple backups, but old school ways I would still recommend, because at the end of the day, if they go away, if that service goes away, how are you going to make a backup?
Yeah. Well, I learned from a long time ago with WordPress, even with B2 Cafe Log, I was, and we're talking.
Look at you name dropping.
That with backups, everything was manual back then. So it's like you were zipping up everything and downloading it from the scene panel, downloading from the database, and everything else. So it was all very processed. But when you get into the habit, it makes you realize that, hey, I know that I have these things, and I know I took it from a working website on top of it. So like, I could clone,
in a way, it could still be broken, but it was still functioning.
Yeah, and everybody kind of panics. The thing is like with very large websites and everything, and I'm like, don't worry, I'm gonna go old school on you, and I'll be able to restore your website. They're like, do you even have enough bandwidth for that? I'm like, hell yeah.
Still to this day at the Plaza, I have managed WP making backups, and then we use Rackspace, so they're making backups for it. But I also have SQL installed on my machine, and I SSH in, and I will go and literally own SQL file. I will literally connect to my database in a GUI on my computer just to make another backup, because even that download could corrupt even something. So I still try to do that manual way, and I call that my the graduating classes of Word. So you either do thing and it's all inside of the dashboard, and you have no FTP experience, or now you have a little experience, then you have your server experience, and then you have like the people who can just grab the entire thing. Doesn't matter if it's domain, hosting, or WordPress, and they can just fold it and do whatever they need to do and solve the problem. So I have graduating levels.
Well, I love to also try to play with WP CLI and all that kind of stuff too, and also command line, because
WP CLI, is that like CLI?
Yeah, CLI.
You call it CLI? I didn't know you call it CLI. That's amazing. All right.
Well, everybody chopped up division layers and said, "What if they're div?" So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to do that to CLI.
It's CLI. WP CLI. It sounds cool too. Do you use CLI? Yeah, I use CLI. Oh, that's going to be an app in like 2 months. CLI is going to be this thing to like help you pick avocados from the grocery store. Ever noticed like how some apps are always just called like Camber.io, and it's like, what is it? It's like, oh, cam service, and you're like,
yeah.
And their marketing, so talked about an about page, a contact page, your home page, news page, a features page. That's pretty good setup. That gets you 4 to 5 pages. Technically, WordPress site to a brochure website is what I like to call it. It's pages, what you do, how to get in contact with you. That's exactly what a brochure is. That is a good solid building when you are first starting out with a WordPress site. Having those key components are only going to help you get found. And when you start selling products, those are only going to support why people buy your product. So, Nile, thank you for coming on the show, telling us why a content strategy, even just beginning out, is more complex than you of adding some facts and saying, I've been doing this for 30 years. My name's whatever. It's a strategy, the pitch, and it's leading people, shepherding people to a path of giving Nile money in her account.
You're no longer in the field of dreams.
In the field of dreams.
Was it hope is not a strategy? Chris Lima said that,
Hope is not a strategy.
That's the same thing as the field of dreams. You don't build your website like that. So
I like to end by asking people, what is a piece of advice you wish somebody would have told you anytime in your career? It doesn't matter if you're a beginner. If it was 30 seconds ago on this podcast when I reminded you to make a backup, something that you wish you would have learned WordPress thing, because, this is a chance to tell somebody else to not same, I don't want to call it a mistake, but, to further your career, don't do this one thing.
Maybe not the don't do this. It is more of having a security plan and everything for your website. I've only been hacked once in all of the time for my website, and it was before security plugins were a thing. But I wish that somebody a long time ago would have made me more mindful of it. And I think that's one of the biggest failings that we in the educating and we who educate in the WordPress community, while we do say it, we don't emphasize it enough. We are emphasizing it more than we used to, thankfully.
I agree.
But we need to make it as a foundation of like one of the core pillars of how to have a WordPress website.
We have a big turnout in our meetup group whenever security is a big topic, or even at WordCamps whenever somebody is talking about security.
Oh yeah, I always have full room.
I watched Tony Perez when they were still at security, like brand new. He put on Gangnam Style at WordCamp Vegas, and he live hacked this thing, and it was amazing to watch him do this. And the whole time he's like, fist bump. I think it's on YouTube, or it's on at least WordPress.tv. I think you can find Tony Perez from security doing this. But you're right. Security is a thing. I've only been hacked once, and technically I didn't get hacked when I first started a job. That company got hacked, but I had to clean it. But when I worked at Maintain and doing support, cleaning websites was a thing that we had to do, and knowing how to do that can not only save you time, it can give you so much money. And in this age right now, this time, it's always been important to save money, but if you can learn how to do this by watching a YouTube video or going to a meetup or even just reaching out to you on your website, something, it's better than not having a plan. I agree.
So, and just in case, it kind of segues back to backups, because backups, actually a good working backup can probably help you if you did get hacked and you don't have to pay 200, 400, whatever, amount of money for somebody to clean you. And you're like, oh, I'm saved.
Not only that, but I think when it comes to being hacked, you restore the backup, and of course, whatever it is allowed you to be hacked in the first place. I always see it as you're still restoring it, and you could still be hacked again. But knowing what to do as far as replacing all your plugin files, or even your theme files, or even just the core files, and unless it's a database thing that you just I'm not the best database person in the world, so even I have my pinnacles. But even if you just know how to FTP and replace the things that you can, that is better than just leaving it still in its hacked state, or taking down the hack but still leaving that exposed. Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, always go to through the process and everything, all the basic steps and everything. There are a lot of tutorials out there, but if you're not certain, then go pay. Like even like WP Fix It, like that's probably the cheapest in the market. but they do a solid job. And also,
Yeah.
you can work with me too on that one, and I'll get you all hooked up.
Well, you can find Nile Flores. Can you please tell the kind folks here at Roundtable how they can find you, where they can get a hold of you, all that good stuff?
You can find me at blondish.net, just like my hair. And actually almost every handle, like Twitter or Facebook, also username blondishnet. And just feel free to reach out to me. I won't bite your head out unless you're rude.
Nile, thank you for your time today. Thank you for being on the show. Just like Nile, find us over on Twitter, WPRT table. I need to talk to Kyle about this, man. Even for me, sometimes find us over on Twitter, also over on the YouTubes. Hopefully you're streaming, you're watching this over here. And, I just want to remind people to always make a backup. We have new episodes coming out. I'm trying to do this twice a week, 3 times a week while I can. Eventually, we're going to get back to, 1 day a week. But until then, my friends, this has been another new episode of WP Roundtable. This is the end. Thank you for your time.